The eco-hotel ballroom glittered like something out of a Nollywood movie. Crystal chandeliers, gold-trimmed chairs, tables draped in cream silk, and enough expensive ossuaby to fill 3 Balagan markets. Chioma stood near the buffet table, feeling completely out of place in her best outfit. A simple purple ochre dress she'd sewn herself in black kitten heels from Yaba Market that pinched her toes. She shouldn't have come. She knew that the moment she walked through those massive doors and saw the type of people attending. But the bride and Ngozi had been kind to her once at the market, had insisted she come, had even sent a proper invitation card with her name embossed in gold. Mrs. Chioma Okonkwo. Mrs. Chioma Okonkwo. 5 years of carrying that name like a burden she didn't deserve. 5 years of hearing her husband Emeka remind her how lucky she was that a man of his status, a manager at Datatech Solutions earning 450,000 Nigerian nairas monthly, had chosen to marry a common market woman like her. Chioma picked up a small plate of small chops, trying to blend into the background, when she heard the laugh that made her stomach clench. That high-pitched, performative laugh that said, "Look at me, I'm so carefree and sophisticated." Nkechi's laugh. She turned, and there they were, Emeka, her husband, in a sharp navy blue agbada that must have cost at least 150,000 Nigerian nairas, walking through the entrance with his arm wrapped around Nkechi Williams, his side chick, his mistress, the woman he introduced to his friends as his real partner, while introducing Chioma, when he bothered to introduce her at all, as just my wife from the village. Nkechi wore a stunning gold dress with a thigh-high slit that showed off her light-skinned legs. Her Brazilian weave cascaded down her back. Her jewelry, real gold, not the costume pieces Chioma wore, caught the light with every movement. She was beautiful in the way Lagos valued. Light-skinned, westernized, expensive. Everything Chioma was not. Chioma quickly looked away, focusing intently on her plate of puff-puff and samosa as if they were the most interesting things in the world. Her heart hammered in her chest. She'd known Emeka was bringing Nkechi. He'd told her as much last night when he informed her she should find her own way to the wedding because he was going with someone more presentable. She cried herself to sleep, as she did most nights. But Mama Blessing, the woman who raised her, had taught her to endure, to pray, to hope that things would get better. A good wife suffers quietly, Mama Blessing used to say. God will reward your patience. But Mama Blessing was dead now, 6 months in the ground at Ikorodu Cemetery, leaving Chioma completely alone in the world, except for a husband who treated her like an embarrassment and his family, who treated her like hired help. Chioma moved toward a quieter corner of the ballroom, trying to become invisible. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. "Move out of the way," a sharp voice snapped behind her. Chioma turned, startled, and found herself face to face with Nkechi. Up close, the other woman was even more beautiful. Professionally applied makeup, false lashes, lips gloss to perfection. She smelled like expensive perfume, the kind that came in fancy bottles from duty-free shops. "Sorry, Chioma started to apologize, stepping aside. But as she moved, someone jostled her from behind. Another guest rushing to buffet. Chioma stumbled forward, and the plate in her hand tilted. A piece of puff-puff rolled off and landed directly on Nkechi's gold dress, leaving a small grease stain on the expensive fabric. Time seemed to stop. Nkechi looked down at her dress, then up at Chioma, and her face transformed from surprise to pure rage. "You stupid woman. Do you know how much this dress costs?" "I'm so sorry. It was an accident." Chioma reached out with a napkin, trying to help. "Don't touch me with your dirty market hands." Nkechi slapped the napkin away. The sound of her voice was loud enough that people around them stopped talking, turned to watch. Phones came out, cameras already recording. Chioma felt her face grow hot. "Please, I didn't mean to." "This dress costs 500,000 Nigerian nairas." Nkechi's voice grew louder, more theatrical. She was playing to the audience now, and she knew it. 500,000 Nigerian nairas. More than you probably make in a year selling your cheap fabrics at that filthy market. "Nkechi, please, I'll pay for cleaning." "Pay for cleaning? You?" Nkechi laughed, that high-pitched, cruel laugh. "With what money? You can't even afford a decent dress for a wedding." You show up here looking like someone's housemaid in that cheap Ankara. The words hit Chioma like physical blows. Around them, people whispered, some recording everything on their phones. Chioma could see it already, the video going viral on Instagram and Twitter. Local market woman ruins expensive dress at high society wedding. "Nkechi, please." Chioma's voice broke, and then, without warning, Nkechi's hand flew across Chioma's face. The slap echoed through the ballroom like a gunshot, the sharp crack of palm against cheek. The immediate silence that followed as everyone processed what had just happened. The burning pain that spread across Chioma's left cheek like fire. Chioma stood frozen, one hand rising to touch her stinging face, her eyes filling with tears of shock and humiliation. The ballroom spun around her. She could see faces, some shocked, some amused, some pretending they hadn't seen anything. That's what happens to local market women who don't know their place. Nkechi declared, flipping her Brazilian weave over her shoulder. Coming to places like this, bumping into their betters, staining expensive things with their carelessness. Through her tears, Chioma looked past Nkechi to where Emeka stood, her husband, the man who had promised to love and protect her. Their eyes met across the crowd. Surely he would say something, do something, defend her, tell Nkechi she'd gone too far. Emeka walked forward, and for one hopeful moment, Chioma thought he was coming to her aid, but he walked past her to Nkechi, putting his arm around the other woman's shoulders. "Baby, are you okay?" he asked Nkechi, not Chioma. "Is your dress ruined?" Chioma felt something break inside her chest. "Emeka," he finally looked at her, and his expression was cold, annoyed, as if she were a stranger causing unnecessary drama. "Chioma, what are you doing? Can't you just stay in your corner without causing scenes?" "She bumped into me." Chioma's voice came out desperate, pleading. "It was an accident." "An accident?" Emeka looked her up and down with disgust. "You don't belong in places like this. You don't know how to carry yourself. Look at you, you look like someone's maid. You're embarrassing me." The words were worse than the slap. So much worse. Now apologize to Nkechi for staining her dress and causing the scene, Emeka commanded, as if he were her boss rather than her husband. Chioma stared at him, unable to process what he was asking. "Apologize? She slapped me because you ruined her expensive dress. Do you know how much that dress costs? More than everything in your market stall combined." Emeka's voice rose. "This is exactly why I don't bring you to these events. You can't handle yourself among real people." Real people, as if she weren't real, as if she were something less than human. Nkechi smirked, her arms crossed, waiting for the apology she felt was owed to her. Chioma looked around the ballroom at all the faces, watching her humiliation, like it was entertainment. Some were recording, already composing captions for their Instagram stories. Others whispered behind their hands, enjoying the drama. No one, not one single person, stood up for her. "I'm not apologizing," Chioma heard herself say, her voice barely above a whisper. "What did you say?" Emeka's face darkened. "I said I'm not apologizing." Louder this time. Stronger. "She slapped me in front of everyone, and you're asking me to apologize to her. You stained her dress. It was an accident. I don't care." Emeka grabbed her arm, his fingers digging into her flesh. "You're making me look bad. Either apologize right now or leave." Chioma looked into her husband's eyes and saw no love there, no compassion, no recognition that she was his wife, the woman he'd promised to cherish. She saw only irritation that she existed, that she dared to take up space in his life. She pulled her arm free from his grip. "I'll leave." Without another word, without looking at anyone, Chioma walked through the ballroom toward the exit. Behind her, she heard Nkechi's victorious laugh, heard Emeka telling people, "Sorry about that. She's just my wife from the village. Doesn't understand how things work in Lagos." She walked faster, the kitten heels clicking on marble floors, past the crystal chandeliers and gold-trimmed chairs, past the expensive people in their expensive clothes living their expensive lives. She walked until she burst through the hotel doors into the humid Lagos night, and only then did she allow herself to cry. The security guard looked at her with pity as she stood there sobbing mascara, the cheap kind from Tejuosho Market, running down her face. "Madam, you day okay?" She wasn't okay. She would never be okay again. Not after tonight. Not after being slapped and humiliated while her own husband stood by and did nothing. Worse than nothing. He'd sided with her humiliator. Chioma flagged down a Kiki Napep because she didn't have money for a proper taxi. She gave the driver the address to the one-bedroom apartment in Surulere that she and Emeka shared, though shared was generous. He was rarely there, usually staying with Nkechi in the luxury apartment he'd rented for her in Lekki. The Kiki puttered through Lagos traffic, and Chioma stared out the city lights, replaying the evening over and over. The slap, the laughter, Emeka's cold eyes. Local market woman who doesn't know her place. Was that all she was? All she would ever be? The Kiki dropped her at her building, and she climbed the 3 flights of stairs to her flat. Inside, the apartment was dark and empty. No husband waiting. No one who cared whether she came home or not. Chioma kicked off the pinching heels and sank onto the small sofa in the living room. Her cheek still burned where Nkechi had struck her. She could see her reflection in the dark TV screen. A woman in a cheap Ankara dress with smudged makeup and defeat written all over her face. Then she remembered something. Something she'd been putting off for 6 months. Too busy surviving to deal with the past. Chioma walked to her bedroom and opened the old wooden wardrobe. At the very back, behind her few dresses and wrappers, was a cardboard box. Mama Blessing's box. The box she'd been given after her adoptive mother's death. The box she'd been too grief-stricken to properly examine. She pulled it out now and sat on the bed, opening it slowly. Inside were things she'd glanced at before. Old papers. A few photographs of her as a baby with a woman she didn't recognize. Documents she hadn't had the emotional strength to read. But underneath, wrapped in old newspaper, was a small baby blanket, white with blue embroidery. Chioma pulled it out carefully, unfolding it under the bedroom light. And there, embroidered along the edge in delicate blue thread, were words she'd never really registered before. Adiz Okafor. Chioma stared at the name. Adiz, not Chioma. Okafor, not anything she knew. With trembling hands, she pulled out the papers underneath. A letter in Mama Blessing's handwriting, written in the weeks before she died. My dear daughter Chioma, it began, if you're reading this, I am gone. There is something I must tell you, something I should have told you long ago. You are not my biological daughter. I found you 28 years ago, abandoned near Oshidi Market, wrapped in this blanket with this name embroidered on it. You were barely a week old. I searched for your parents, reported it to police, but no one ever claimed you. So I raised you as my own, loved you as my own. But you deserve to know the truth. You deserve to know who you really are. Find out, my daughter. Find out where you came from. That is my dying wish, that you discover your true identity. Forgive me for waiting so long to tell you. I was afraid of losing you, but you were never mine to keep. You belong to whoever the Okafors are. Find them. Find yourself. With all my love, Mama Blessing. Chioma read the letter 3 times, her hands shaking harder each time. Found as a baby. Abandoned. A different name, Adiz Okafor. She set down the letter and pulled out her phone with its cracked screen. With trembling fingers, she typed into Google, Adiz Okafor missing baby Lagos. The first result made her heart stop. A news article from 28 years ago. Billionaire's baby daughter kidnapped. Chief Ikenna Okafor's daughter. Adiz Chioma Okafor, taken from family home in Banana Island. 50 million Nigerian nairas ransom paid. Child never returned. Okafor Industrial Empire heir still missing after 6 months. Chioma clicked on another link. And another. Each article told the same story. Chief Ikenna Okafor, billionaire industrialist, owner of Okafor Industries with over 200 billion Nigerian nairas, had lost his baby daughter and wife in a kidnapping gone wrong 28 years ago. The wife had died in the kidnapping attempt. The baby had vanished. He'd spent decades searching, offering rewards, never giving up hope. The age matched. The name matched. The blanket matched descriptions in the articles. Chioma looked at her reflection in the bedroom mirror. A woman in a cheap Ankara dress with a red mark on her cheek for being slapped by her husband's mistress. A local market woman who doesn't know her place. But what if she wasn't just a market woman? What if she was someone else entirely? What if she was Adiz Chioma Okafor, the missing heiress to a 200 billion Nigerian naira's empire? Her phone buzzed with a message from Emeka. Don't wait up. Staying at Nkechi's tonight. You embarrass me enough for one day. Chioma stared at the message, then at the blanket, then at the news articles still open on her phone. And for the first time in 5 years of marriage, for the first time since Mama Blessing died, for the first time since that slap echoed through the Eco Hotel ballroom, Chioma smiled. Oh my God, did you just see that? Emeka let a side chick slap his wife in public, and then told her to apologize. But wait, this local market woman he humiliated might actually be the missing heiress to a 200 billion Nigerian naira's empire. If your blood is boiling right now, smash that like button. Subscribe to African Tales by Zion. Drop a comment. What would you do if you discovered you were secretly rich after years of abuse? Should Chioma reveal who she is, or make them suffer first? Next chapter reveals the DNA test results, and you will not believe what happens. Share this video right now. Turn on notifications. This revenge is about to be legendary. Chioma woke up the next morning with her cheek still tender from the slap, and her mind racing with possibilities that seemed too impossible to be real. She barely slept, spending most of the night staring at her phone, reading every article she could find about Chief Ikenna Okafor and his missing daughter. The morning light streaming through her bedroom window felt different somehow, as if the world had shifted slightly on its axis. Emeka's side of the bed was empty. He'd meant what he said about staying at Nkechi's. Normally, this would have made Chioma cry. Today, she barely noticed. She pulled out the baby blanket again, running her fingers over the embroidered name, Adiz Okafor. Could it really be her? Or was she grasping at desperate straws, trying to make herself into someone important to ease the pain of being nobody? But the evidence was there. The timeline matched perfectly. The name matched. And Mama Blessing wouldn't have lied in her dying letter. Chioma made a decision. She would find out the truth, with trembling fingers. She scrolled through the old news articles until she found one with contact information, a law firm that had handled Chief Okafor's search efforts. Bashir and Associates, with offices in Ikoyi. The article was from 15 years ago, but law firms didn't just disappear. She copied the phone number and stared at it for a long moment before her courage wavered. What if they laughed at her? What if they thought she was another scammer trying to claim a billionaire's fortune? Lagos was full of stories about con artists pretending to be long-lost heirs. But then she remembered last night. The slap, Emeka's cold eyes, Nkechi's cruel laugh, local market woman who doesn't know her place. She had nothing to lose. She was already at the bottom. The only direction left was up. Chioma dialed the number. It rang 4 times before a professional female voice answered. Bashir and Associates, how may I direct your call? I need to speak to someone about Chief Ikenna Okafor, Chioma said, her voice shaking. About his missing daughter. There was a pause. May I ask what this is regarding? I think I might be her, his daughter. I have evidence. Another pause, longer this time. Chioma could hear the skepticism in the silence. The secretary had probably received dozens of calls like this over the years. Please hold. Classical music played for what felt like an eternity. Chioma paced her small bedroom, her heart hammering so loud she could hear it in her ears. Then a new voice came on the line, older, female, authoritative. This is Barrister Ngozi Bashu. I understand you're calling about the Okafor case. Yes, Ma. I know this sounds crazy, but I think I might be Adiz Okafor. I have a blanket with a name embroidered on it, and a letter from the woman who raised me explaining that she found me abandoned as a baby 28 years ago. Where you located? Barrister Ngozi cut in, her tone suddenly sharp with interest. Suralir, Ma. Can you come to my office today? This afternoon? Bring the blanket and any other evidence you have. Yes, Ma. What time? 3 o'clock. Don't be late. And Mrs. Okonkwo. Chioma Okonkwo. Mrs. Okonkwo. I've been handling Chief Okafor's case for over 20 years. I've seen countless false claims. But something in your voice, just bring everything you have. We'll know the truth soon enough. The call ended, and Chioma stood in her bedroom, suddenly terrified. What had she just set in motion? She spent the rest of the morning preparing. She called her market stall assistant Amaka and told her to handle sales for the day. Then she carefully packed Mama Blessing's box with all the papers, photographs, and an embroidered blanket into a black plastic bag, the only bag she had. She chose her best outfit. Not the purple ochre from last night, which she never wanted to see again, but a simple blue dress Mama Blessing had sewn for her years ago. It was faded and old-fashioned, but it was clean and modest. As she was leaving, her phone buzzed. A message from Emeka. Transfer 20,000 Nigerian nairas to Nkechi's account for me. I'm taking her shopping later, and I'm short on cash. Don't disturb me with questions. Chioma stared at the message. Once upon a time, yesterday actually, she would have scrambled to make that transfer even though 20,000 Nigerian nairas was almost all she had left from last week's market sales. She would have gone without lunch for 3 days to make sure Emeka had money for his girlfriend. Today, she simply typed back, "No." Then she turned off her phone and headed out. The journey from Surulere to Ikoyi took over an hour by public transport. Chioma took a Danfo bus, then another, then walked the last 15 minutes to the address Barrister Ngozi had given her. With each step, doubt crept in. What was she doing? She was a market woman going to a fancy law firm claiming to be a billionaire's daughter. They would laugh her out of the building. But Mama Blessing's letter burned in her bag. Find out who you really are. Mbashu and Associates occupied the 5th floor of a gleaming office building. The reception area was all marble and glass, with leather couches, and a receptionist who looked Chioma up and down with barely concealed judgment. "I'm here to see Barrister Ngozi Mbashu," Chioma said, trying to sound confident. "I have a 3 o'clock appointment." "Name?" "Chioma Okonkwo." The receptionist checked her computer, her expression shifting slightly. "Ah, yes. She's expecting you. 5th door on the right." Chioma walked down a corridor lined with expensive artwork and framed degrees. She felt completely out of place in her faded blue dress, carrying a black plastic bag like she was coming to sell tomatoes. Barrister Ngozi's office was spacious, with a large mahogany desk and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lagos. The woman behind the desk was in her mid-40s, wearing a sharp business suit, her natural hair cut into a professional style. She stood when Chioma entered, studying her with intense eyes. "Mrs. Okonkwo, please sit." Chioma sat, clutching her plastic bag. "I appreciate you coming on short notice. Let me be direct. Chief Okafor has been searching for his daughter for 28 years. In that time, I've investigated over 40 claims, all of which proved false. Some were honest mistakes, most were scams. So you'll understand my skepticism." "I understand, nah." "Good. Now show me what you have." Chioma pulled out the blanket first. Barrister Ngozi's eyes widened slightly as she saw the embroidered name. She took the blanket carefully, examining it under her desk lamp. "This is—" Her voice trailed off. "This matches the description from the police report. The pattern, the stitching, even the shade of blue. Where did you get this?" "The woman who raised me, Mama Blessing, gave it to me before she died 6 months ago. She found me wrapped in it as a baby. And you have documentation of this." Chioma handed over Mama Blessing's letter and the old photographs. Barrister Ngozi read everything carefully, her professional mask slipping slightly to show genuine emotion. "Mrs. Okonkwo, I need to ask you some questions. Your age?" 28, Ma. "Well, approximately." Mama Blessing said I looked about a week old when she found me. "And where exactly were you found?" "Near Oshodi Market." Mama Blessing had gone there to buy goods for her stall. Barrister Ngozi nodded, pulling out a thick file from her desk drawer. "The kidnapping happened at the Okafor family home in Banana Island. The baby disappeared during the incident. We've always theorized that the kidnappers panicked after the mother died and dumped the baby somewhere in the chaos. Ashiti would have been on their route if they were fleeing toward the mainland. She pulled out old photographs from the file. This is Chief Okafor's wife, Obiageli Okafor, taken a month before the kidnapping. Chioma looked at the photograph and felt her world tilt. The woman in the photo had her face. Older, yes, but the same high cheekbones, the same wide-set eyes, the same smile. She looks like me. Yes, Barrister Ngozi said quietly. She does. And this is Chief Okafor holding his daughter 2 days after she was born. The baby in the photo was wrapped in a blanket. The same blanket, now sitting on Barrister Ngozi's desk. There's only one way to know for certain, Barrister Ngozi continued. A DNA test. Are you willing? Yes, Ma. It's not a simple process. We'll need samples from you and Chief Okafor. The tests will be conducted at a private laboratory to ensure confidentiality. It will take approximately 2 weeks for results. Are you prepared for what this might mean? If you are who you appear to be, your life will change completely and immediately. Chioma thought about her life as it was. A husband who despised her, a side chick who slapped her, a 1-bedroom apartment in Surulere, days spent selling fabric at Balagan Market, nights spent crying into her pillow. I'm ready, Ma. Very well. I'll arrange everything. But Mrs. Okonkwo, Chioma, I need you to understand something. If you are Adiz Okafor, you're not just gaining a father. You're inheriting one of the largest fortunes in Nigeria. That comes with responsibility, danger, and people who will want to use you. Your life as you know it will end. My life as I know it already ended, Chioma said quietly. Last night when I got slapped in front of hundreds of people and my own husband did nothing. Barrister Ngozi's expression softened. The mark on your cheek, is that from last night? Chioma had tried to cover it with makeup, but the bruise was still visible. She nodded. Come, let's go to the laboratory now. No point waiting. The private lab was in Victoria Island, a facility that catered to wealthy clients who needed discretion. A technician swabbed Chioma's cheek and took blood samples, handling everything with professional efficiency. The whole process took less than 30 minutes. The samples would be compared to Chief Okafor's DNA, which we have on file from a previous attempt. Barrister Ngozi explained as they left the lab. Results in approximately 10 to 14 days. I'll call you the moment we know. Should I tell anyone? My husband. Barrister Ngozi's eyes were sharp. The husband who let someone assault you? Absolutely not. Tell no one. If you are Adiz Okafor and word gets out before the test confirms it, you'll have every con artist and gold digger in Lagos at your door. Promise me. Complete silence until we have proof. I promise, Ma. They exchanged numbers, and Chioma made her way back to Surulere. On the bus ride home, she felt strangely calm. She'd done something today that the old Chioma, the one who existed before last night's slap, would never have had the courage to do. She'd taken control of her own story. When she got home, she found Emeka sitting on their couch, his face thunderous. You didn't transfer the money, he shouted before she even closed the door. I looked like a fool in front of Nkechi. I promised her shopping, and I couldn't deliver because my useless wife refused a simple request. It wasn't a request, Chioma said calmly, setting down her plastic bag. It was a command, and the answer is still no. Emeka stood up, advancing on her. What has gotten into you? You've been acting strange since that embarrassment yesterday. Did you think we wouldn't hear about it? The whole of Lagos is talking about how you attacked Nkechi, and she had to defend herself. Attacked? Chioma stared at him. She slapped me. There's video. There's video of you staining her 500,000 Nigerian Naira's dress and creating a scene. You should be apologizing, not acting like some victim. I'm done apologizing for existing, Emeka. I'm done apologizing for not being good enough for you. I'm done with all of it. Done. He laughed, harsh and cruel. You're done? You're lucky I married you at all. No education, no family money, nothing but a market stall and the clothes on your back. You think you can do better than me? Maybe I can. Maybe I'm worth more than you ever saw. Worth more. Emika's voice dripped with mockery. You're worth exactly what the market decides, which is very little. You're a market woman, Chioma. That's all you'll ever be. You should be grateful someone like me lowered himself to marry you. The words were designed to hurt, to cut, to put her back in the box labeled worthless, where he'd kept her for 5 years. And maybe they would have worked yesterday. But today, Chioma had seen photographs of herself as a baby wrapped in an embroidered blanket. Today, she'd given DNA samples that might prove she was someone else entirely. Get out, she said quietly. What? Get out of this apartment. Go to Nkechi's. You clearly prefer being there anyway. This is my house. No, it's my house. I pay the rent. I've been paying it for 3 years while you spend your salary on Nkechi. So get out, now. Emika stared at her like he'd never seen her before. You've lost your mind. That slap must have knocked some screws loose. Maybe it knocked some sense in. Out, Emika. I won't ask again. He grabbed a few things, his best clothes, his shoes, all while muttering about her ingratitude and stupidity. You will regret this, he said at the door. You'll come crawling back, begging me to take you back. And maybe I will if you grovel enough. Don't hold your breath. The door slammed behind him, and Chioma was alone in the apartment. In the silence, she pulled out her phone and turned it back on. Missed calls from Emika, angry messages from his family calling her disobedient and disrespectful, and one email notification from Barrister Ngozi Bashu. Sample collection successful. Test in progress. Your life is about to change, Chioma. Be ready. Chioma looked around the small apartment. The faded curtains, the worn furniture, the life she'd known for 5 years. Then she looked at the black plastic bag containing a blanket, embroidered with a different name. A name that might actually be hers. 13 days passed like torture. Chioma went through the motions of her life. Waking up, going to Balaga Market, selling fabrics, coming home to her empty apartment. But her mind was somewhere else entirely, counting down hours until the DNA results. Emika stayed at Nkechi's, though he called occasionally to berate Chioma for her disrespect and to inform her that his family was discussing what to do about her sudden madness. His mother, Auntie Beatrice, had even shown up at the market one afternoon to lecture her about wifely duties. You think you're too big now, the older woman had shouted in front of Chioma's customers. Chasing away your husband over small issue? Do you know how many women would kill to have a man like my son? A manager earning good salary? You're just a market woman with nothing. You better beg him before he divorces you completely. Chioma had listened quietly, no longer bothering to defend herself. Let them think what they wanted. In a few days, maybe everything would change. Or maybe the DNA test would come back negative, and she really was just a market woman with delusions of grandeur. Either way, she'd know the truth. On the morning of the 14th day, Chioma's phone rang while she was arranging fabrics at her stall. The number made her heart stop. Barrister Ngozi Bashu. Good morning, Ma. Chioma answered, her voice shaking. Chioma. Barrister Ngozi's voice was thick with emotion. The results came back. Can you come to my office? Now. Yes, Ma. What do they say? Come to the office. There's someone here who's been waiting 28 years to meet you. The line went dead. Chioma stood frozen, her phone still pressed to her ear. Someone waiting to meet her. That could only mean, Amaka, she called to her assistant. Close the stall. I have to go. But madam, we just opened. Close it. Take the day off. I'll explain later. Chioma practically ran through Balaga Market, flagging down the first taxi she saw. The drive to Okoye felt both endless and too short. Her mind raced with possibilities, with hope, with terror. What if this was real? What if she really was Adiz Okafor? When she arrived at the law firm, the receptionist who'd looked down on her 2 weeks ago now stood and greeted her respectfully. Barrister Bashu is expecting you in the conference room. This way, please. Not the office, the conference room. Something big was happening. The receptionist opened heavy wooden doors, and Chioma stepped into a large room with a polished table and leather chairs. But she barely noticed the furniture because her attention was immediately drawn to the man sitting at the head of the table. He was in his late 60s, distinguished-looking in a well-tailored suit, his hair more salt than pepper. But it was his eyes that made Chioma's breath catch. Deep-set, intense eyes that were currently filled with tears as he stared at her like she was a ghost come to life. "Adiz," he whispered, standing slowly. "My Adiz." Barrister Ngozi stood beside him, holding a folder. "Chioma, this is Chief Ikenna Okafor. And Chief, this is your daughter. The DNA test shows a 99.9% match. She is definitely your biological child." The words hung in the air like a spell. 99.9% match. Biological child. Daughter. Chief Okafor moved toward her, and Chioma saw he was crying openly now, not bothering to hide his tears. 28 years, he said, his voice breaking. 28 years I've searched for you. 28 years of wondering if you were alive, if you were safe, if I'd ever see my baby girl again. Chioma felt her own tears start to fall. I didn't know. I thought I was nobody. I thought. "You are somebody," Chief Okafor said firmly, reaching out to take her hands. His grip was warm, solid, real. "You are my daughter. You are Adiz Chioma Okafor. You are the heir to everything I've built. You are my entire world. Return to me after all these years." He pulled her into an embrace, and Chioma broke down completely, sobbing into his shoulder. This man, her father, held her like she was precious, like she mattered, like she was valuable beyond measure. Everything Emeka had never done. They sat down eventually, and Barrister Ngozi spread documents across the conference table. The DNA evidence is conclusive. All legal documentation will be prepared to officially recognize Chioma Adiz as your daughter and heir, but there's much to discuss. Chief Okafor couldn't stop looking at Chioma, as if afraid she might disappear. "Tell me everything. Where have you been? Who raised you? How did you survive?" Chioma told him about Mama Blessing, the kind woman who'd found her wrapped in a blanket near Oshodi Market, about growing up poor but loved, about selling fabrics at Balogun Market, about the life she'd known as nobody special. She didn't mention Emeka at first, but Chief Okafor noticed a fading bruise on her cheek. "Who did that to you?" His voice went hard, protective. So Chioma told him everything. The 5-year marriage to a man who was ashamed of her, the constant humiliation, the side chick, and finally, the slap at the wedding that had triggered everything. By the time she finished, Chief Okafor's face was rigid with barely controlled rage. "Show me this man. Give me his name." "Chief," Barrister Ngozi interrupted gently. "Perhaps we should focus on the present first. Chioma Adiz needs to understand what she's inherited." What followed was the most surreal conversation of Chioma's life. Chief Okafor pulled out documents, bank statements, property listings, company portfolios. He explained that Okafor Industries was an industrial conglomerate worth over 200 billion Nigerian nairas, with interests in manufacturing, real estate, imports, and technology. "All of this," he said, gesturing to the paperwork, "is yours. You are my only child, my only heir. I've kept this empire running for 28 years, waiting for you. Now you're here, and it's time to transfer everything to where it belongs, to you." Chioma's head spun. I don't know anything about running a company. I sell fabrics at a market." "You'll learn," Chief Okafor said firmly. "You're brilliant. I can see it in your eyes. You survived 28 years without privilege, without help, and you build a life. Imagine what you can do with resources. We'll start immediately. Training, meetings, introductions to key people. Within 3 months, you'll be ready to take your place as CEO. 3 months." Chioma felt faint. "But what about my market stall? My life?" "That life is over," Chief Okafor said gently but firmly. "You're Adiz Okafor now. That means security, responsibility, and yes, power. Power to ensure no one ever humiliates you again. Power to build something extraordinary. Power to change lives." He pulled out another document. "I've already arranged for you to move into the family home in Banana Island. Your room, Your nursery from before, I've kept it exactly as it was, hoping you'd come back someday. Now you have. Chioma looked at Barrister Ngozi helplessly. Is this real? Tell me this is real. It's real, the lawyer confirmed. By next week, public announcement will be made. But we need to prepare you first. New wardrobe, security team, media training. The moment Lagos finds out Chief Okafor's missing daughter has returned, you'll be front-page news. What about Emeka? Chioma heard herself ask. Should I tell him? Chief Okafor's eyes went cold. The man who let someone slap you? The man who keeps a mistress? Why would you tell him anything? Because he's still legally my husband. He'll find out anyway. Then let him find out the hard way. Chief Okafor said with grim satisfaction. Let him see it on the news like everyone else. Let him realize exactly what he threw away. But Adiz, I want you to understand something. You owe him nothing. Not explanation, not warning, not mercy. He had 5 years to value you, and he chose not to. Now you have the power, and the choice is yours. What do you want to do? Chioma thought about it, about years of disrespect and abuse, about Nkechi's slap and Emeka's cold eyes, about being called just a market woman, like it was something shameful. I want to watch him realize what he lost, she said quietly. I want him to see me as I really am, not as he made me believe I was. I want justice. Chief Okafor smiled, and it wasn't a kind smile. It was a smile of a billionaire who'd built an empire and didn't tolerate those who hurt his family. Then justice you'll have. Ngozi, make the arrangements. My daughter returns home today. The transformation begins now. The next 3 weeks were a whirlwind. Chioma moved into the Banana Island mansion, a sprawling estate that made her one-bedroom apartment look like a storage closet. She met with stylists who fitted her with designer clothes, security teams who would protect her 24/7, business consultants who began teaching her about the company she'd inherit. She learned that Datatech Solutions, Emeka's company, was a subsidiary of Okafor Industries, that the Lekki apartment building where Nkechi lived was owned by Okafor Properties, that practically everything in Emeka's life was somehow connected to the empire Chioma now controlled. The irony was delicious. Chief Okafor arranged for public announcement to coincide with the Okafor Industries annual gala, a massive event that all of corporate Lagos attended, including, Barrister Ngozi confirmed, several employees from Datatech Solutions. Your husband will be there, she told Chioma. He'll be in the room when you're introduced as the new CEO. Are you ready for that? Chioma looked at her reflection in the floor-length mirror. The woman staring back was unrecognizable from a market trader who'd been slapped 3 weeks ago. Designer dress, professional makeup, hair styled perfectly, diamonds, real ones, at her ears and neck. I'm ready, she said. And she meant it. Stop everything. Chioma just discovered she's the missing heiress to a 200 billion Nigerian naira's empire. Her father, she never knew, has been searching for her for 28 years. And guess what? Emeka's company is a subsidiary of her empire. That apartment Nkechi lives in, Chioma owns it. If you're screaming right now, smash that like button. Subscribe to African Tales by Zion. Comment. Should Chioma reveal herself to Emeka before the gala, or let him find out in front of everyone? Next chapter is the moment you've been waiting for. Emeka and Nkechi's faces when they see the market woman walk onto that stage as CEO. Share this now. Turn on notifications. The reveal is going to be epic. The Eco Hotel Ballroom, the same place where Chioma had been humiliated, now sparkled with the cream of Lagos society attending the Okafor Industries annual gala. Chioma watched from a private room above the ballroom. Looking down at the crowd gathering below, she spotted Emeka almost immediately. He'd come with Nkechi, both dressed in expensive attire. Chioma knew Emeka had probably spent his entire month's salary on those clothes, trying to look like he belonged among the truly wealthy. If only he knew. They're expecting a man, Chief Okafor said beside her. The rumor I spread was that I was introducing my son-in-law as heir. Let them think that until the moment of truth. Chioma smiled. Her father had a devious side she was beginning to appreciate. Downstairs, Emeka strutted to the crowd, Nkechi on his arm. Chioma could see him networking aggressively, try and make connections with senior executives. He'd been ecstatic when he received the gala invitation, seeing it as confirmation that his career was advancing. This could be my breakthrough, he'd told Nkechi in a phone call that Chioma's new security team had recorded. If I impress the right people tonight, I could be regional director within a year. Then we can finally get rid of Chioma and make our relationship official. Get rid of her, like she was trash to be disposed of. Barrister Ngozi entered the private room. It's time. Are you ready? Chioma took a deep breath. She wore a stunning emerald green gown that cost more than Emeka made in 6 months. Her hair was styled in elegant braids adorned with gold accessories. She looked like what she was, Nigerian royalty, a billionaire's daughter, a CEO about to take her throne. I'm ready. The plan was simple but devastating. Chief Okafor would give a speech about the company's future, announce his declining health, and introduce a successor. Everyone expected a man. They would get Chioma. Downstairs, the lights dimmed. A spotlight hit the stage where Chief Okafor stood at a podium. Good evening, Lagos, his voice boomed. Thank you all for attending this historic night. As many of you know, Okafor Industries has been my life's work for over 40 years. But that work was always meant to be shared with my family, specifically with my daughter. Murmurs ran through the crowd. Everyone knew the tragic story of Chief Okafor's lost child. 28 years ago, my daughter was taken from me. I never stopped searching. And now, by the grace of God, she has been found. Tonight, I officially introduce her not just as my daughter, but as the new CEO of Okafor Industries. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Adiz Chioma Okafor. The spotlight swiveled to the private balcony entrance. Chioma stepped into the light, and the ballroom erupted with gasps. Everyone recognized her, not as Adiz Okafor, as Chioma Okonkwo, the market woman who'd been slapped at a wedding 3 weeks ago, the viral video woman. And now that same woman stood in a designer gown being introduced as a billionaire's daughter and CEO. Chioma walked down the stairs with her head high, every eye following her. She could see faces she recognized, people who'd witnessed her humiliation, people who'd laughed. Most importantly, she saw Emeka. His face had gone from tan to gray to white. The champagne glass slipped from his fingers and shattered on the floor. He was staring at her like she'd risen from the dead. Beside him, Nkechi's mouth hung open in shock and horror. Chioma reached the stage and hugged her father before approaching the microphone. "Good evening," she said, her voice steady. "I know many of you are shocked. 3 weeks ago, I was a fabric trader at Balogun Market. Tonight, I stand before you as CEO of Okafor Industries. The journey between those two realities has been illuminating." She paused, letting her words sink in. "I've learned that people treat you very differently based on what they think you're worth. When they thought I was nobody, they felt free to disrespect me, humiliate me, even assault me in public." Her eyes found Nkechi. "But now that you know who I really am, I wonder, will those same people apologize?" The ballroom was silent. "I don't need their apologies," Chioma continued. "What happened 3 weeks ago taught me something valuable. It showed me who people really are when they think there are no consequences. And now that I have the power to deliver those consequences, I'm going to use it wisely." She gestured to Barrister Ngozi, who appeared with documents. Effective immediately, Okafor Industries will be conducting a comprehensive review of all subsidiary companies. Performance, ethics, employee treatment, everything. Companies that don't meet our standards will be restructured or sold. Employees who don't embody our values will be replaced. Her eyes found Emeka. He looked like he might be sick. Additionally, Okafor Properties will be implementing new tenant policies. We're committed to housing people who treat others with dignity and respect. Nkechi had gone pale. My father built this empire on integrity. As CEO, I intend to maintain those values. To those who built success honestly, welcome. To those who haven't, she smiled coldly. Well, you'll be hearing from my team soon. Applause erupted, partly genuine, partly desperate. Chioma stepped off the stage, surrounded by security, but not before making eye contact with Emeka, across the ballroom. She held his gaze, letting him see the woman he'd called worthless now controlling his entire livelihood. Then she turned away and walked out, leaving him in the ruins of his assumptions. No way. Did you see Emika's face? His champagne glass shattered on the floor. Nkechi looked like she saw a ghost. The market woman just got introduced as CEO of the company that OWNS's job and her apartment. And Chioma just announced restructuring and new tenant policies. If you know what that means, destroy that like button. Subscribe to African Tales by Zion. Comment. Fire them now or make them suffer slowly. Next chapter is the explosive finale where Emika tries something dangerous when he realizes what he's lost. Share this. Turn on notifications. You won't believe how this ends. Chapter 5. Karma delivered the final trap. The day after the gala, Lagos exploded with news. Every blog and social media platform led with, "Missing billionaire heiress found. She was a slap market woman." The original humiliation video was shared beside images from the gala. Chioma sat in her new office at Okafor Industries, an entire floor with panoramic Lagos views, watching the chaos while Barrister Ngozi briefed her. Datatech Solutions submitted their restructuring proposal. But there's a problem. Emika, he's been calling all morning, left 27 messages. He's contacted board members, trying to leverage your relationship. He still thinks I'm his wife. Technically you are, until the divorce is finalized. Barrister Ngozi placed papers on the desk. He's requested a meeting. Says it's about important matters. I've advised against it. Chioma thought about it. Schedule it. Here in my office with security. I want everything recorded. The meeting was set for that afternoon. When Emika was escorted in by security, he looked terrible, pale, bags under his eyes, yesterday's clothes. "Chioma," he started. "CEO Okafor," she corrected coldly. "Or Ms. Okafor." He flinched. "Ms. Okafor? I had no idea you were Chief Okafor's daughter. How could I have known?" "You shouldn't have needed to know," Chioma said sharply. "You should have treated me with respect because I was your wife, because I was human. But you didn't. I made mistakes. You made choices. You chose to humiliate me. You chose Nkechi. You chose to do nothing when she slapped me. But baby, we can fix this. Now that I know who you really are. Now that you know I have money," she corrected. "I've already served divorce papers. You have 60 days. I have 5 years of documented evidence of your infidelity and abuse." Emika's face crumpled. "You can't divorce me. Watch me. Please." He dropped to his knees. "I'll change. I'll do anything." Chioma looked down at him. She felt nothing. "Get up. Begging doesn't suit you." He stood slowly, and she saw his expression change. Desperation faded, replaced by calculation. "You know what?" His voice dropped. "Maybe divorce isn't the worst option. We're still married for 60 days. And if something happened to you during that time..." He trailed off meaningfully. Chioma's blood ran cold. "What are you saying? As your legal husband, I'd inherit everything if you died. All 200 billion Nigerian nairas. That's Nigerian law. Accidents happen all the time. Cars go off bridges. People get robbed. Wealthy people are targets. Are you threatening me?" "I'm stating facts." He smiled uglily. "I came to beg, but I see money change you. You're cruel, vindictive. Well, two can play. Security." 2 men entered immediately. "I'm leaving," Emika said, backing toward the door. "But think carefully about this divorce. Think about whether you want to make an enemy of me." After he left, Mr. Biodun, her security chief, entered. "Ma'am, we recorded everything." That was a direct threat. Chief Okafor appeared, thunderous. "That man threatened your life. I want him arrested." "No," Chioma said. "If we arrest him now on just a recording, he might get bail. We need to catch him actually trying. We need proof that will put him away for a long time." They spent 2 days setting the trap. They leaked false information. Chioma will be driving to Port Harcourt alone, taking back roads. A decoy car with an operative. Unmarked vehicles following. Plainclothes officers ready. Chioma safe at her father's mansion, watching via live feed. Emeka took the bait. Security footage showed a meeting with criminals in Ajigunle, exchanging 2 million Nigerian nairas. On the appointed day, Chioma watched the live feed. The criminal's truck followed the decoy car onto 3rd Mainland Bridge. Evening traffic was moderate. The truck accelerated to ram the decoy car off the bridge. But before contact, police swarmed from every direction. The criminals were arrested within minutes. 5 blocks away, more police surrounded Emeka's car. His phone, still coordinating the operation, was seized. His shocked face captured by cameras. The trial was a media sensation. The prosecution had everything: recorded threats, financial transactions, phone records, the criminal's confessions. Chioma sat in the courtroom for the verdict, wearing a perfectly tailored suit. Emeka stood before the judge, no longer confident. "Mr. Emeka Okonkwo," the judge said, "you plotted to murder your wife for financial gain. This court sentences you to 25 years in Kirikiri maximum security prison with no possibility of parole." Emeka collapsed, weeping. He was led away in handcuffs. Nkechi's trial followed. 10 years as accessory to attempted murder. Her social media deleted. The Lekki apartment, evicted by Okafor Properties. The designer lifestyle, gone. 6 months later, Chioma stood at the ribbon-cutting ceremony for the Obiageli Okafor Women's Empowerment Center, built in honor of her mother. "My mother died protecting me," Chioma told the crowd. "I honor her by protecting other women, by ensuring no woman endures what I endured, being made to feel worthless, trapped in abuse, humiliated with no recourse." Chief Okafor stood beside her, healthy and proud. "What about your ex-husband?" a reporter asked. "Do you visit him?" "I visited once," Chioma said, "to make sure he understood what he'd lost. Not just money, but a woman who would have loved him, shared everything with him, if he'd just valued her. Instead, he chose greed over love, murder over letting go. Now he has 25 years to think about it. Any regrets? None. Everything that happened led me here. Led me to discover who I really am. I'm not just a billionaire heiress. I'm a survivor. My worth isn't determined by how others treat me, but by how I respond when they underestimate me." She cut the ribbon. Inside waited women who'd escaped abuse, women who would be trained, empowered, given second chances. That evening, driving through Lagos in her Bentley, Chioma stopped at a traffic light in Surulere. She saw a woman in worn clothes selling fabrics by the roadside, tired, struggling, invisible, exactly like Chioma had been. She rolled down her window. "Excuse me, sister. What's your name?" "Blessing, ma." "Of course. How much do you make in a good day?" "Maybe 5,000 Nigerian nairas, ma." Chioma pulled out a business card. "Come to this address tomorrow. I'm starting a program for women traders. Loans, training, market access." "You look determined. Someone who survives." Blessing stared at the card, tears forming. "Ma, why help me?" "You don't know me." "Because 6 months ago I was you, and someone believed in me. Now it's my turn to believe in you." Back at the Banana Island mansion, Chief Okafor waited. "How was the ceremony?" "Perfect. Mama would be proud." "She would. And so am I." They sat together, looking out at Lagos. Somewhere in a maximum security prison, Emeka stared at concrete walls. Somewhere else, Nkechi served her sentence. But here, Chioma was free. Free from abuse, from humiliation, from being made small. "Do you regret how it happened?" Chief Okafor asked. "That you suffered so much?" "No. Suffering taught me dignity isn't something given or taken. It's carried inside. Emeka tried to make me worthless, but I was never worthless. I just didn't know my value. Now I do." Her phone buzzed. Message from unknown number. "Please, I'm begging. Have mercy. Get me out. Emeka." Chioma deleted it without responding. She'd said everything she needed to say. She stood at the window, looking at the empire that was now hers. Tomorrow, meetings with international investors. Next week, London conference. Next month, expand the empowerment centers to 10 cities. The local market woman didn't exist anymore. In her place stood Adiz Chioma Okafor, billionaire CEO, philanthropist, proof that your beginning doesn't determine your ending. And that was the sweetest revenge of all. 25 years in prison. Emeka got 25 years to try and kill the worthless market woman worth 200 billion Nigerian nairas. Nkechi got 10 years. His mother disowned him. And Chioma, running an empire, helping women escape abuse, living her best life. If this karma gives you life, demolish that like button. Subscribe to African Tales by Zion. Comment what's the biggest lesson. Never let anyone make you feel worthless. Your value exists whether people see it or not. Share this complete story with everyone. Turn on notifications for more powerful stories. Remember, that slap was meant to break her, but it woke her up. Sometimes your worst moment is preparation for your greatest comeback. Until next time, African Tales by Zion.